everyone, I'm Daniela, and today I'm going to show you how to make my Nonna's crostata recipe. Crostata is a rustic Italian pie made with a short crust pastry and jam, or marmellata. This was one of my favorite treats growing up as a child, and it's pretty easy to make. So let's get into it. Into a bowl goes 360 grams, 3 cups of plain or all-purpose flour. To this, add 1 cup, 200 grams of granulated sugar. Stir that together to combine and set it aside. To a separate bowl, add 3 eggs and give them a whisk to start breaking them up. Then add in 4 grams, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now we're going to add in 113 grams, half a cup or a quarter pound of butter. I've melted the butter and let it come to room temperature so that it doesn't scramble the eggs. Create a well in the center of your flour mixture and pour in the eggs. Just like you're making pasta, slowly start to work the flour and liquid mixture together by bringing in the outsides of the flour into the wet mixture. You want to be pretty gentle with this dough. We don't want to form a lot of gluten. We want it to be nice and tender. Once most of the bits of flour have been incorporated and your dough has come together, you can stop mixing. The dough will be very soft, but it's meant to be. You want it to have a really delicate texture. Split your dough into 2 pieces, one larger than the other. I usually do 2/3 to 1/3. When I wrap up my dough to refrigerate, I like to pat it into a flat disc. This just makes for easier rolling later on. Now do the same for the smaller piece. This dough is very sticky, so make sure you let it chill up at least 30 minutes, if not overnight. I'm using a removable bottom tart tin to make my crostata. I find using the removable base on a pan easiest because it allows you to get the entire pie out of the dish. Preheat your oven to 175 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Even after chilling, your dough may be a little bit sticky. Don't worry, we're going to put some flour down to prevent any sticking. Starting with your large piece of dough, roll it out so that it fits into the bottom of your tart tin. I'm rolling mine between 2 pieces of parchment that have been generously floured. The dough is still very soft and sticky, and we don't want it to tear apart. I like to twist the dough as I'm working it so that it's nice and even all the way across. You can pop your tart tin on top of the dough to make sure it's wide enough. If you don't want to roll your pastry out, you can just press it into the pie pan. I would still let it chill before you add your jam and bake it though. This will prevent any shrinkage. I like to peel away the parchment before trying to move it into my tin so that it doesn't stick too much. Very carefully place your dough into your tart tin. It is pretty forgiving, so even if you tear a few bits, you can just rip a piece off the edge and fill in your gaps. Use any little leftover bits to make sure you've got a perfect crust. Trim the dough off the edges of the tart tin. And just like the first piece, make sure to dust your parchment with some flour before rolling out the smaller piece of dough. I'm adding the pastry that we've pulled off into the remaining pastry for the top, just to make sure we have enough. Give that another generous dusting of flour. And just like the last time, I'm rolling it out, but I'm trying to keep it in a more square shape. This allows me to cut out nice strips. The dough will remain pretty soft, so make sure you're using enough flour so that it doesn't stick. Cut your dough into strips. I'm using a corrugated edge roller, but you can just use a pizza cutter or a knife, and my strips are about 1 inch wide. Set that to the side while we fill our crostata. If you don't want to go to the trouble of making a traditional lattice crust, you can just take the pastry and break it up and crumble it over the jam. That's what my Nonna used to do when she was in a rush. Pour your jam over the base of your crostata. I'm using about 300 milliliters of my strawberry, bay, and vanilla jam. Homemade jam always tastes best in this recipe, and if you want to learn how to make your own strawberry jam, I've linked my recipe in the comments and description below. While you're there, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because I come out with a new video every week. Spread the jam evenly over the base. Then very carefully place your strips on top of the jam. I don't worry too much to do the crisscross like I would on a normal pie because this dough is so delicate. It will start to bake together and you won't really notice a difference. Pinch off any excess bits of dough from the edge of the tart. And into the oven. This crostata needs to bake for 40 to 45 minutes or until the pastry is a beautiful golden brown color. You'll notice the jam will start to get sticky and pour out of those little holes on top. That's perfect. It's exactly what we want. Let it cool at least to room temperature and give it a light dusting with some icing sugar. This is traditionally cut into squares so that it's nice and easy to pick up and eat, but cut it however you like. This crostata is a perfect breakfast treat or really great any time of day. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with a friend, and maybe subscribe because I come out with a new video every week. And if you haven't already, you have to try my small batch jam recipe. I had a few special twists that are unlike any other jam. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.